Breaking Bad, episode 502, Madrigal. Um, First off, I don't know how long I'll go here. I'm just a little tired, just a little beat. But it was a good episode. We're getting back into the setting up the new story that's gonna be the final arc for the series. Um, it was a Mike heavy episode, which that's always a good thing. Mike is awesome. And it's great how as the series goes along, you really get to know him more. I always thought he just would kind of be this badass guy, but you get to know him, like what he did, sits around watching old movies on TV, like he has a beer, like you get to know him a little bit. He's got a granddaughter, they're playing Hungry Hungry Hippos. I like that stuff. He's three-dimensional now. He's fully three-dimensional, where before he was just this total badass. And he's still a total badass. Total badass. But, some moments I liked. The scene with Jesse near the beginning where he's freaking out over the cigarette still and the poison. And then Walter somehow gets it in his Roomba. Is that what those things are called? Somehow slips it in there. And that scene was just another example of why Aaron Paul is just such a great actor and really deserves an Emmy before the series is over. But I felt like if he was going to earn an Emmy, it would have been for his work last season. So too bad. But that scene was really great, and he breaks down, starts crying. At the idea that he had pointed a gun at Walter over this whole thing, and it just shows that Jesse is definitely the heart of the show. Walter's a cold, calculating killer at this point, who apparently wants to bang Skylar from behind a lot. Which I ain't gonna argue with that. Go for it, Walter. But Jesse has the heart. Like he's a good guy. I've said this multiple times. He's a good guy, and you really get to see that here. What other scenes did I like? I like they're doing these chilling ending scenes between Walt and Skylar. And this time, I swear to God, like he was about to start fucking her, and she's just sitting there like freaking out. I'm trying to think what else happened in this episode besides some of the big things. They did introduce a lot of new characters. The guy, the German company, they introduced him and then they kill him. They have this new girl who's like this mystery woman. We kind of know a little bit more about her by the end, but at first you're like, who is she? She wants Mike to go kill all these guys that were, on payroll. And by the end, I guess she was their line for certain chemicals they needed. So maybe she works in a hospital or some sort of wherever they would have that chemical they need. I don't know what industries use methylamine or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. You don't know exactly who she is, except that she was in business with them and she was able to get them certain things that they needed, which is why Mike kept her alive. Because by the end of it, he did reconsider. Maybe it was the fact that he's losing a lot of his money because of the DEA. I'm guessing that's it. I don't know. Maybe he's bored. I don't think that's the case. He didn't have a lot of time for boredom in this episode, and so I guess he needs the money. That said, I think keeping her alive probably not a good thing. She seemed really stupid. And, even when he comes to kill her and she just keeps getting louder and louder, it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like he should have killed her anyway. That girl, tell you right now, she's going to be trouble. Something I forgot to mention in the reaction last week, but I noticed it again here, and I noticed it when I rewatched last week's episode. Hank is walking again. He's walking pretty damn well. Good for him. I like the scene in the office where their chief or whoever, the captain, He's talking about how he's gonna have to go under the bus because the whole Gus Fring thing. And they're sitting there drinking whiskey. I just enjoyed that scene. Hank just gets up and pours him another. There wasn't too much to this episode, just establishing that Walt wants to get back into business. And that he wants Mike as a partner, and Mike wants nothing of it, but then due to the fact that the DEA is up everyone's fucking ass, I guess Mike's gonna go along with it. Although it looks like in the preview for the next episode, Mike wants definitely more control. You know, he says, I want to run the business, and he says to Walter, he goes, just because you shot Jesse James don't make you Jesse James. I thought that was a cool line. But, you know, that means more Mike than ever, which is great for the final season. So that was basically what that episode was about. It was just establishing that Walt wants back in. He wants to make Mike, you know, equal partner, and Mike, you know, the episode is basically the journey of Mike going no to Mike going okay. Although with, I'm sure, a few caveats. It wasn't the most exciting episode, but there was some stuff happening. They're building stuff up, you know. And it looks like I was kind of right that the first half of the season might be about the DEA and AKA Hank getting closer to Walter. And I think Walter's slowly turning Skylar more evil. Or trying to anyways. She doesn't seem to be having much of it right now, but I think she'll start getting off on being a bad girl. Honestly, I like the scene in the office where it kind of Saul says the thing that we're all been kind of thinking, which is, sorry, they're playing a commercial right now. Sorry, they're playing a clip. I just sat here for 30 seconds. My bad. Alright, the clip that they just showed on TV is where Mike tells, they're sitting in Saul's office. This is not the scene I was talking about. We'll get back to that scene. But the scene that they just played on the TV, they're sitting in Saul's office. I apologize for like the minute of me just sitting there going. They're sitting in Saul's office, and you know, Mike says, "Fine, I'm in, but I control the business." And Walt sits there. He goes, "Is that?" And Mike goes, "Is that absolutely clear?" And Walt goes, "Sure." And Mike's like, "All right, let's go take to her." And Walt walks up to Saul. He goes, "He runs the business. He controls the business. I control him." It's fucking awesome. Anyways, the one other scene I wanted to talk about from this episode was when they're sitting there in Saul's office in this episode, and Saul says what we're all been kind of thinking, which is, you just won the lottery, you got out of this, you know, nice and clean, and maybe it's time to count your blessings and call it a day. And Walt kind of lays out his motives for wanting to get back into it again, which is that he's broke because his wife gave all his money to Ted. He owes 40 grand to Jesse. I almost wanted Jesse to be like, "Hey, listen, yo, let's just split the money that I have, and let's see." You know, I wonder what Walter would say to that. I'm sure Walter would be like, "No, unacceptable." Anyways, I know this is kind of a boring reaction, so just cut it off there. But anyways, we'll be back next week for more Breaking Bad.